recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As we look at this particular piece of legislation, the real genesis of this came from very troubling testimony that a number of us on both sides of this aisle heard in hearing after hearing. It was not one agency. It's been a plethora of agencies that seem to have communication that is going on, Mr. Speaker, on a regular basis that's not being preserved. Now, part of this is accountability. Part of this is historical. Can you imagine what our founding fathers would do if they had communicated to one another and never preserved the letter or the communication that had taken place between them? What would our history be? It would be filled with a number of holes. So from a historical perspective, we have the real duty to require it for our children and our grandchildren to understand what goes on in government. But from an accountability standpoint, I think that's where most Americans are focusing these days, Mr. Speaker. They don't understand why we continue to lose email after email, while there seems to be hard drive problems at the IRS that transcends all logical comprehension of why so many hard drives would have failed. I have a hard time understanding that as well. But regardless of those issues, if we enact this particular bill, and I thank the ranking member from Maryland, because he has indeed, with his amendment, made this bill better. It's stronger, and I thank him for his support. Because when we work together in a bipartisan way to make sure that these records are kept, it not only preserves it for historical purposes, but it starts to build back the foundation, block by block, layer by layer, where the American people can once again trust their government. I think it's time, Mr. Speaker, that we take this act and make it into law. So I encourage my colleagues to support this. I urge them to support this bill, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman from North Carolina.